Welcome, everyone, to episode 21 of Youth Got Next. I'm YPT. I'm here with Nik Kiefer, who's one of our youth leaders.
It's your
He's
boy.
actually the youth pastor in training.
It's
And
true.
today, we are going to talk about King Ahab and the prophet Elijah.
Mm-hmm.
Ahab was married, and it matters who you marry, everybody, in case
It
you weren't
really
aware
does.
of that. He marries a woman whose name will be very familiar to you because her name is Jezebel. And that
Mm-hmm.
name has become synonymous with not a good woman.
Not a lady you want to know, my friends.
Not
at
even
all.
a little bit. Yeah, she did all kinds of bad stuff and got some people killed. So Ahab is king of Israel, and
Mhm.
is he a good king or a bad king?
He's not a good dude. He's not a good king at all. Not someone I'd want to work with or be a subject of.
I definitely agree. And during this time, Elijah is the prophet who God is using to tell Israel, hey, you need to repent.
Mhm.
So tell us what happens with Elijah.
Elijah, he tells King Ahab, he goes, hey, guess what? There's going to be no rain for a couple of years because God's going to prevent the rain from coming. And if you've ever lived in a place where there's a drought or something, you know that's bad news, right? Like if there's not rain here for a couple of days or even months, what happens?
We're in trouble. And I know we
Mhm.
have parts of our country that there is not enough water,
Mhm.
and they are in a lot of trouble. And that's exactly what happened with Israel.
It really is. So that happens for a few years. And during this time, God promises to take care of Elijah. He sends ravens to come feed him, bring him food. He also lives by a river and he's taken care of. That is until the river dries up. And then he goes to a place where he meets a woman who's married to, I can't pronounce this name. I'm going to let you take that over.
Well, it's the village of Zarephath.
Zarephath.
Yeah.
Say that 10 times fast, real quick. I
I'll
can't.
pass.
Yeah.
So he goes to this village, and basically he says to the woman, "Hey, can you give me a little bit of water and some bread?" And she says, "Well, I only have a little bit left, so little that actually I was about to make the last piece of like bread for my son and I to eat, and then we were just going to lay down and die." And
Sheesh.
Elijah makes a very bold request. He says, "Before you do that, why don't you make something for me, and then make something for yourself and your son?"
It's crazy. Could you do that? Do you think?
I'm not sure.
I don't think
First
I
of all, I
could.
don't know how to bake that well, so
Yeah,
I'm not so sure I could do
guilty.
that. But she does it. And what's wild is he takes care of her. Like she is able to live in the middle of this drought
Mhm.
because God uses Elijah to provide for her and for her son.
Mhm.
And I'm just blown away by that because God does that sometimes, even in the midst of difficult situations. He takes
Yeah,
care of those who are willing to submit to him.
I agree, and it's so cool. Just the story of Elijah. Like we can't get into all of it, but it's just a story of God's faithfulness to not only Elijah but to all of the people of Israel. From how Elijah feels alone at times, and God says, "No, there are more people who are still following me than you even know."
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about Elijah, he's one of the only people in the Bible besides another dude named Enoch, who we're not even going to touch on, who never died. He went to heaven, it says, in a flaming chariot, and that's it. That's the end of his story. It's crazy, right?
It is. I think what's important for us to remember in this scene and setting with the story of Ahab is even though the king was bad, God was at work in the people of Israel and calling them to repent. Even though they refused to, Elijah was faithful, he was consistent, he was persistent, and
Mm,
even though sometimes he felt like he was all alone, he was obedient to God's instruction to call the people out and to live in truth. And he wasn't alone. He discovered that with the course
mhm.
of time. And I think that's a lesson for us to learn. Even
Absolutely.
if we feel like we're the only ones who are doing what God calls us to do, then we need to be obedient to his clear instruction
Mm,
because he will bless and provide. And Elijah is a clear demonstration of how
that's
God
so
works
good.
in that
Yeah,
way.
absolutely.
Well, everyone, thank you again for joining us for this episode of Youth Got Next. We'll see you again next week. And just remember, when you think you're the only one who is being obedient to God, actually, you're not. There is always a remnant, and he will bless your obedience, even if the people in leadership are not following his word. Y'all have a great week.